How are you feeling? You got John Riggs here at your service, checking out some great games from Ultra this time. And you might look at some of these games on this list and say, like, I thought that was from Konami, not Ultra, and you'd be right, because early in the days with the Nintendo Entertainment System, just so there wouldn't be like a bunch of shovelware all at once, causing another video game crash, hopefully, the good people at Nintendo said, you know what, all third-party publishers are only going to release 5 games per year. That's all you get, so make them good. So Konami, who already had all these great games in Japan, because they didn't have this rule in Japan, said, well, okay, so we'll have 5 games from Konami and then 5 games from Ultra. So basically 10 games, right? That's how they got around it. So these games could have been on the Konami video, and maybe they should have been, but I was like, you know what, just to keep it safe, just to keep it as we're going, since this said Ultra right on them, these games are the Ultra games, and they had 17 of them, a lot more than I figured. And I like to do these videos as often as I can, so make sure you're subscribed. I do about 2 videos a week. I love the retro stuff. I play the new stuff too, but yeah, definitely want to check out because there's always something new coming up. Starting off with Base Wars, which is a robotic baseball game, which is actually pretty fun too. The full name is Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars, and the Cyber Stadium Series I think was slated to be like they were going to have a Cyber Stadium Series football, Cyber Stadium Series basketball, and more. But we got the baseball, and then nothing else, so unfortunately, it didn't pan out. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just completely assuming. And you know what happens when you assume, of course. Still a fun game. I like the fact that the pitcher has like the arm cannon that charges the shot, and then you can do it. And then once the ball is launched, you can actually use the D-pad to move it around and stuff like that. There's a lot of fun happening in this game. So for a sports game, I'm gonna give it a B. Defender of the Crown looks like a PC game. I mean, I'm sure it was, and you'll see several PC games ported over to the NES thanks to Ultra and even Konami. But Defender of the Crown, I don't know if it was really fit to be on an NES cartridge, you know what I mean? I mean, the jousting was kind of fun. I mean, there's like some kind of like, you know, medieval themes to it, and there wasn't a lot of that happening with video games at the time, but I mean, it's just, it's not great. It's almost an F to me, but I'll put it as a D, because I come back to it every once in a while. Gyruss, pretty fun shooter, happened in the arcade. It looked like, I remember going to the arcade thinking the joystick was broke. It turns out the joystick is supposed to be, it rotates at a 360, kind of like how 720 does, remember that skating game? It's a shooting, but you go around the perimeter of the screen to shoot down the tunnel. It's like a tunnel shooter in space. It's fun, and it's a decent shooter, it's a B. We have Kings of the Beach. Without looking at my screen, I will tell you that the 2 players you play as are Randy Stoklos and the other guy, Vanilla Thunder. Vanilla Thunder may have been Randy Stoklos. What was the other guy's name? Something Smith. St. John Smith, right? Something like that? I had to think about it. I play this game a lot, believe it or not. I'm not the biggest sports fan, as you may or may not know, but this game was just fun enough that it was just playable enough, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually ended up playing all the way through it once, which I didn't think I'd do for most sports games. I actually went through the entire game. Fun game, easy to play, 2-player. It's Kings of the Beach, and I'm giving it an A. Then we have Metal Gear. This is the first Metal Gear for the NES, the one that started it all, even with its broken English and odd clues and stuff like that. It's a fun game. It's super awesome. I like this game still today. I remember when it first came out, though. It was that game that some people had, and it's terrible for me to think, but I used to think it was kind of like a lesser than other games in a way, just because it was so common, I think. It was one of those games that, you know, it's been out for a while. A lot of people already played it. But man, it's still not bad. It's a little clunky as far as, like, you know, the hit detection or the things like that too, but it's still, you know, for its time, thinking back to its time, and the exploration, and you have to use different key cards to get to somewhere else, and everything about it, the weapons, everything, fantastic, and it's, I mean, in my memory, it's an S for sure. Well, we have Mission Impossible, and this is a first for this style of video for myself, because I haven't played Mission Impossible enough. When it first came out, it was on Nintendo Power. It was like the fold-out maps and all that, the posters on the inside. The movie just came out. It was everywhere, and it looked really good. It looked like it would play really good too, only every time I tried playing it, nothing in the game said, don't just walk out into the street, you will die. So every time I played it, I tried to go anywhere, and then a helicopter would fly overhead, I'd plug my ears and I'd die. Every time. So admittedly, I haven't played it past the first area, because every time I come back to it, that thing would happen, and no matter where I tried to walk around it or whatever, it would still happen. I was just like, okay, never mind. I'll move on and play something else. That's that. I'm giving it an F. I'm sure it's a way better game than that, but with my experience in playing it, and that's what happened when I tried playing it, it's not worth it. Nightshade, however, I think is totally worth it. I loved Nightshade, loved the writing in it. You play as this kind of like crime time detecting sleuth type character, very mysterious, with no notoriety. And the more good deeds you do, you get better notoriety. So maybe other people will be like, hey, you're the one guy. And they actually might give you a clue on where to go next or something like that. But at first, you have to prove yourself. But it plays like a point-and-click game. It plays a lot like a Maniac Mansion-style game, where you have to like use items on this, use that, go here, do this. There's even like a 2D fighting mode, which pops up every once in a while to fight off thugs and criminals and stuff like that. I can't say enough good things about this game. I love it when you die as well, and I don't love it when you die, but I like it when you die. Instead of just having it be a game over death scene, it is another puzzle for you to figure out. If you can solve the puzzle, you can have another go at it. It's brilliant. Love this game. I'm giving it an A. Got Pirates, another PC game coming to the NES. I played this mostly as Pirates Gold on the Genesis. However, it's Sid Meier's Pirates, right? And it's a fun game. You play as a pirate, and you choose your own destiny, I suppose. You can sail the seas, and if you see another boat, you can either choose to ignore it, or you can choose to fight it. You can go into town and barter and get people, and it's a pirate sim, but it plays, but it's not just text-based. You actually get to do stuff in this game. There's a lot of fun to be had with this game. It's a little slow going, and you just have to take your time with it. But it's a decent game, and I'll give it a B. Oh, Q*bert. I'm a big fan of Q*bert as the brand. Loved the arcade game. I loved the Saturday Supercade cartoon. I'm a fan of Q*bert. I played it a lot on the Atari 2600, but by the time it came out for the NES, it was already like, come on, what are you doing? We already had Q*bert, we don't need more Q*bert, but it came out anyway. I will give it the credit, though, of giving you the option to change your controls. If you want like diagonal to be a diagonal, make it a diagonal. Or if you just want up, down, left, right to be, up, right, down, left, whatever. However you want to play it, it works out to your favor. It's still Q*bert, but at this time, and for the NES, it could have been better. To me, I love the arcade game, but the NES version of Q*bert, not great. I'm giving it a D. Rollergames was a weird one that came out of nowhere for me. Like, I just saw it all of a sudden. I was like, oh, Rollergames. Is that like roller derby or something like that? I mean, this is a thing that's been around since like the 60s or something. But this plays like a beat 'em up, but you're on roller skates, and you have to like watch out for like holes in the ground and stuff like that. It could play like a decent beat 'em up, and it should have just been a beat 'em up. It didn't have to be Rollergames themed at all, but it was. But it still doesn't. I mean, I don't think people give it credit for. It's actually not bad. It's just a little different. It's a C. Silent Service is the butt of a lot of NES jokes. I go to video game conventions, I see stacks upon piles of Silent Service carts for $1 each. The thing is, though, I actually kind of like this game. It's another one of those PC games come to the NES, and you have to fight off the other boats and stuff like that. So you can, change the rudder speed. You can put your periscope up and like see the boats, or do like the overworld map view and stuff like that. I don't know. I just remember enjoying playing this game quite a bit. Is it the best game in the world? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I still had a lot of fun playing Silent Service, so I'm giving it a C. Skate or Die is interesting enough. Skate or Die was the game that everyone wanted to play because it allowed you to be a skater. Because I certainly couldn't balance on a skateboard for very long. I've tried. I did back in the day. And I was good for a few seconds before I fell down. But Skate or Die allowed you to be the cool skater kid that you could never be, or never even hope to be, hopefully. But it gave you also multiple options too. Like there was like the half pipe, there was the joust. I loved doing the joust, especially on 2-player. There was the downhill jam or whatever, where it's like you're facing someone else, you can kick the other guy off their skateboard. You find the little hidden passageway, land on the cop car, stuff like that. Skate or Die is fun. It's still a little awkward. It doesn't control very good at all. It's like you played it because you wanted to, and then you forced yourself to play it more just because it was about skateboarding, even though it wasn't great. But I'll give it a C. And then later on we had Ski or Die, which was basically Skate or Die, but now you're skiing. And I think there might be a snowboarding element in there as well. And it's just like Skate or Die, it's also a C. Snake's Revenge is the sequel to Metal Gear, but it's not Metal Gear 2 because it is its own thing and it's not great, especially if you loved Metal Gear. Now, from what I understand, Metal Gear 2 in Japan is fantastic. It's like one of the best. However, this is not that game. In fact, a lot of the elements that made that game great are not anywhere close to being in this game. This game is its own thing. I've tried getting into it multiple times. I even tried just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go through the steps and beat the game with a Game Genie just to get it over with. And I couldn't even do that. I was just like, I got lost halfway and I just lost interest part of the way, and it's like, I'm done, I'm good. Man, especially for me who like, I love Metal Gear, Snake's Revenge, it hurts my feelings. I'm giving it a D. It's not quite an F though, because it is a decent game, and I'm sure it's better than what I'm giving it credit for. I just wish it was better. Well, this is the Star Trek 25th year anniversary edition. It's hard to believe that there was a time when Star Trek was only 25 years old. The original one, the old school one, right? I mean, I think Next Generation's over 25 years by now, right? I, admittedly, as geeky as I am, as nerdy as I am, I never got into Star Trek. I don't hate it. I just never got into it. My mom liked it, my brother loved it, so it was always on, especially like Next Generation stuff. I remember just being on, but I just wasn't interested. However, the game is really cool. For the NES, it was my style of game, where you beam down to a planet and you inspect things and you try to pick up certain things, talk to people, and so you have like little quests and all that, and then you go off and you do your own thing. It's my kind of NES game. It's a little slower moving, so it's a game that you want to play like on a Sunday afternoon when there's nothing else going on. But it's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with Star Trek 25th Anniversary Edition. I'm going to give it an A. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I don't think there's any other game that exemplified the I don't care for the game very much, but I love the brand, and it's the only game I got right now, so I'm going to play through it because I'm going to prove to myself that I'm a fan. And even though the game is different, I don't think it's a terrible game. The hit detection's a little off. The enemies, it's not really quite based on the cartoon, is it? Like the enemies in the game aren't in the cartoon for the most part. Some things are, of course they are. But then there's like all these other things that are going around, like the guys who look like Rambo or the guys who look like Optimus Prime and stuff. It's just like, it doesn't even make sense half the time. But it's still a decent game. It's just super hard. Only beaten it once back in the day. I doubt I could even beat it again. But it was that game that everyone just kind of played through and drudged through because you just wanted to play through it, man. I'm giving it a B. I'm going to be generous about it. Turtles 2, the arcade game, however, was super awesome. I remember first playing TMNT, the arcade game, in Seaside, Oregon, at the arcade there, and 4-player simultaneous. We're just having fun. This one is based on the cartoon, which I loved. Everything was fantastic. Everything was great. And I was thinking to myself, even at the time, I was like, man, I wish we would have had this for the NES, but it's too hard. It's impossible. There's no way you can put this on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And they did, and knocked it out of the park. Absolutely loved it. So when it first came out, we played through it. They even added extra levels in it just to make it a little bit longer, which I thought was super cool. It even came with a free pizza because it was sponsored by Pizza Hut. So when my mom bought me the game, of course I couldn't afford the game, I was a kid, but when my mom bought me the game, in the back of the instruction manual, I was able to cash in on my free personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut, which we had down the street from our house. And even though there are other TMNT fighting games like this, like the third one, like Turtles in Time and all that, this one still holds a very dear place in my heart. And this one for the NES is still fun today. To me, it's a solid S. And this here's my list. If you want to make yours, I have a link to my tier maker in the description below. And if you happen to post it on social media, make sure you tag me in it so I can check it out too. And I love doing this style of video, so there's always more videos coming out. Make sure you're subscribed. I've already done videos on Capcom, Konami, LJN, and so many more too. So make sure you check out these other videos, and I'll see you again real soon. Thanks for watching.